This is my first post here, so I'm sorry if I get anything wrong. This is a case that's been intriguing me ever since I first heard about it because it's just so bizarre and cynical in a way. It's from Poland, so I apologize, but there are no English sources. The story. Mateusz Kawecki is a 30-year-old Polish man from a small village called Hutkow in southeastern Poland. He's been working in Hanover, Germany as a construction worker for about 5 years and lives with his father, who also works in Hanover. Mateusz has a long-distance relationship with his Polish fiancée, who is expecting, and lives in a village called Góra in northwestern Poland. As his fiancée is about to give birth, Mateusz sets off driving his 1998 BMW 525 from Hanover, Germany to Góra, Poland, after work at around 11:30 p.m. on March 28, 2018, and is due to arrive at around 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. the following morning. It's a 647-kilometer or 402-mile drive. However, Mateusz never makes it to Góra. And his son tells him that there was terrible traffic on the way. He waited a total of 2 hours in traffic jams due to accidents, and that he was around Szczecin at that point. Szczecin is a town on the Polish-German border on the way to Góra. He has around 214 kilometers or 133 miles to go from there. Please note that the German-Polish border isn't staffed and there are no checks, although there are cameras that can apparently read license plates. Around that time, he also sends a text message to his fiancée that he'll get there in around 2 hours, but he never made it to his fiancée's, and this is in fact the last communication with Mateusz. Becoming increasingly worried after unanswered calls to Mateusz, the fiancée gets in touch with Mateusz's sister, who also lives in Hanover, at around 5 p.m., but no one is able to get through. His phone rings, but he doesn't pick up. Later that evening, Mateusz's mom goes to the police, but they discourage her from filing a report as it's too early and Mateusz will likely turn up. Anyway, the family reports Mateusz is missing in both Germany and Poland, but the German police refuses to investigate so long as Polish police is on the case. This disconnect and bureaucratic barrier between the German and Polish police is quite apparent throughout this entire ordeal. The family then asked the Polish police to locate Mateusz's cell phone, which was apparently on for a couple of days after his disappearance, but the police is unable to do so as Mateusz was using a German SIM card. German police, again, can't locate his phone either, as Mateusz disappeared in Poland. Later, Polish police claim that Mateusz's phone never connected to a Polish network. It is unclear where Mateusz received the call from his father. Frustrated with police, Mateusz's family began their own investigation and thoroughly checked the entire route, going into side streets, checking with gas station staff, asking for video surveillance, going around markets and towns near the border with Mateusz's picture, and posting posters with his image. Unfortunately, no new clues appear for the next 6 months, and it seems that Mateusz, along with his car, just disappeared into thin air. The family is featured on TV multiple times and complains that the police are not doing enough and not taking the matter seriously. On September 12th, a neighbor comes to Mateusz's mom to ask about the barn, as it has been smelling for a while, since July at least, and the neighbors are starting to complain. They think it's probably a dead animal, but can't quite locate it. The neighbor eventually asks the mother if he can check below the barn's roof. Half of the barn was walled off, creating a room and an attic on top of that room. She agrees, so he climbs up and sees a pile of clothes. Upon closer inspection, he finds out it's actually a dead human body, a severed head and a torso. There are also 2 nooses hanging from the roof and a backpack on the floor. All the stuff seems to be Mateusz's, yet the corpse is too decomposed to be ID'd. Mind you, in March, Mateusz wasn't headed for his family's house in the southeast of Poland. Instead, he was headed to his fiancée's in the northwest. It's a 635-kilometer trip between the two, basically from one side of the country to the other, and his home village was about as far from Germany as you can get in Poland. The police quickly determined the cause of death to be a suicide and hand over all of Mateusz's stuff back to his family. Here's where things get even weirder. 4 days after having found his body, Mateusz's family find his shoe in the barn with his severed edit, let's say detached to avoid confusion, foot still inside it. This points to the police not having done a very good job at collecting evidence and also brings up the question of why this didn't come up during the autopsy. Furthermore, some, or all, not sure about this, of Mateusz's teeth are knocked out and stuck to his clothes with what seems to be blood. While a head can get severed after a body has hung for some time on a noose, it is rather difficult for teeth to get knocked out post-mortem. There also seem to be bloody patches on his clothes, although these are difficult to distinguish considering the clothes are fairly dirty. Inside his backpack, there is a Polish water bottle with cigarette butts inside, and an orange juice box. Mateusz's family all claim that he never drank orange juice. It's implied that he disliked it. All of this potential evidence is released without any analysis by police. The biggest mystery of all is his car. To this day, it hasn't been found or seen. Not in Poland, not in Germany, not anywhere. The keys and vehicle registration were never found either, despite his wallet having been in that backpack. Furthermore, his phone was among the things found, and there was one more call to his uncle on March 30th. This seems like an accidental dial, as it only lasted for less than a second and never got through. The uncle never received anything. Moreover, the attic where his body apparently hung is more or less in full view from the ground inside the barn, and the family say they used the barn throughout the summer, so it's very unlikely they wouldn't notice a hanging body. I think it's also strange that given how tiny Mateusz's village was, no one noticed Mateusz or anyone else wandering around and trying to gain access to the barn. On one of the shows, a prosecutor, not the investigating one, also claimed that they found public transport tickets from cities in Germany dated past his disappearance. Edit. This is incorrect. I rewatched one of the sources, and the prosecutor claims that it was public transportation tickets from Poland, not Germany. The police and public prosecutor maintained that the death was a suicide and refused to investigate further, despite appeals and effort by the family. I'm personally quite baffled as to what could have gone down here. Suicide seems unlikely, as the guy had a fiancée and a kid on the way, although it's never quite certain what goes on in someone's head. On the other hand, if someone did indeed kill Mateusz, whether on purpose or accidentally, and then staged his suicide, how did they manage to sneak into a village that is so tiny any stranger immediately stands out? The public transit tickets also seem strange. One more thing that fascinates me is how the missing white woman syndrome works here. There are a dozen cases of women who went missing under much less mysterious circumstances that got an incredible amount of media coverage in Poland, thanks to which some even made it to this sub. I'd have never heard of this guy if it hadn't been for a Polish true crime podcast. Comments. Wow, what a bizarre case. Thank you for the great write-up. Wondering if he met up with foul play along the way? Maybe witnessed something he shouldn't have, got into an altercation with the wrong person, or was robbed or targeted in some way? It's just bizarre that his body was found so far in the opposite direction. Seems like a lot of work to kill someone and then drive them all the way back to dispose of their body, unless they were purposely trying to mislead the investigation or prolong the discovery of his body, both of which ended up happening. A reply from OP. Exactly. I'm a big fan of Occam's razor, and it just seems incredibly unlikely someone would have gone through all that when they could have just buried his body in some random field and no one would ever know. Normally, this type of thing, you would think the police would look into it more, since many would immediately think a family member was involved, since it was on their property and the car was missing. So, the barn has been smelling since July, yet the family was using the barn throughout the summer. So they just ignored the smell? Sounds like a suicide to me, though the teeth in the foot is odd. It would be interesting to see what the autopsy said about that. The neighbor's request to check that exact spot at that time seems pretty specific. Great write-up on an interesting case. This may be a small thing, but I'm curious about the traffic he told his dad he got caught up in. Makes me wonder if there really was that bad of traffic, or he was just doing something else and used the traffic as an excuse to his father, since something clearly happened after that call and the text to his fiancée. So just curious if it was ever verified that there were accidents that led to the bad traffic in the area he said he was in. The car doesn't make sense to me if it's suicide. He's on his way very far from where his family's barn was, then ends up in the barn to commit suicide? You'd have to think the car would be there on the property. Thank you for listening. You can find the original post and our Unresolved Mysteries through the link in the description box below. I like being able to listen to posts when I'm busy doing something else and can't read them, so I made this video for anyone who wants to listen to the Reddit posts. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and don't forget to hit the subscribe button below to get more puzzling mysteries.